Hey you guys, Dev here at WeBuyHouses.com. Welcome to the Cash Offer Masterclass. It's episode 91. Today we're getting back into the habit of looking at properties and computing the ARV and the estimated repairs and what we could pay cash for them, because that's what it's all about here at the Cash Offer Masterclass. We're teaching you how to buy properties right. If you don't buy them right, you lose money in real estate. So it's all your money is made on the purchase. And then you have to decide what to do with your capital. You have limited capital, whether it's yours or whether it's the amount you might be able to borrow from hard money lenders or banks or whatever. So we have to choose, where to deploy the capital. And I thought this was a place that we probably wouldn't, but I thought it was an interesting one to look at. And one of the things I want to talk about today is ARV calculation and kind of how the wholesalers do it versus how we do it. And, and the idea that we really have to compute our own numbers and figure out what these things could be worth. So there's a little lesson on ARV here. And I also thought, let's look at one not in Texas, because, I'm always looking at Texas, but my methodology works anywhere. This house is in the beautiful city of Palatka, Florida. Palatka. In fact, here's Palatka. It's actually on the St. Johns River coming out of Jacksonville and then over there to the east of Gainesville, kind of in the middle of nowhere. And I thought, what is this place? And does anybody live there, and why? And one of the reasons why, as you can see, there's this like riverfront thing going on that I think looks pretty cool. When you look at this stuff, it looks like an interesting place with state parks and golf courses and boathouses and stuff. So thought it sounded pretty cool. But when you start to do a little research into a city like this that you've never heard of, and it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, and so it's already got some issues, right, with our real estate investing methodologies, a little out in the middle of nowhere. But we might look at it and say, hey, maybe it is a place that there's a good, healthy market and we can flip. But what we see here is, is it expensive to live there? No, there's an indication that it's maybe the cheapest houses in all of Florida. So median home price is well below Florida's median. And I also saw there's a lot of what to do. There's things to do there. I mean, it's kind of an interesting place. But look at the videos. Pros and cons, small town charm, affordable living, but has limited jobs and big city amenities. There's not much to do out there work-wise. You're kind of in the middle of nowhere, folks. Long drive into Gainesville or Jacksonville from right there. It has a population, that says 10,000. I saw another one that said 30 something, so I'm not exactly sure about that. But here's the striking statistic, poverty rate of 30. Whoops.
Oh,
didn't mean to go there. 34.12. Yeah, I clicked on that and it actually went to the. I'm just learning how to use a browser, folks. Come on. Anyway, I thought, there was some interesting data. And, the cheapest city in Florida is kind of the reputation that it has. So let's go look at this house in the cheapest city of Florida and see if we could do a deal with this. We're looking at this one. It says it is reduced. I didn't catch it the first time around, so that's nice. They've reduced it. In fact, I've got one I'll show you in just a second that was reduced, episode 89. I want to show you something about that here in just a minute. I'll do it at the end. Remind me. If I forget, I'll do it at the beginning of the next video. But so there's that beauty. And I haven't done really if you look at it, it's in the city. It's not like out on the outskirts. Now, I haven't done the old drive around. Let's just kind of drop down here. There she is. This is our view across the street. Not horrible, actually. Those are pretty nice houses. Lots of parking in the yard. Just no big deal, That one, something weird going on there. I think it's got a bad aura. The aura is not good on this one. Sorry, it's not you. It's your house. So yeah, kind of a older neighborhood, small places. They're not horrible. It doesn't look, it looks like you see some pride of ownership in many of these places. Look at that one. Pretty cool. So that's downtown Palatka, guys. And, And so that's what we're looking at. And just jumping back into the thing, I got it from Fazio Real Estate Solutions. Guys, I think you know from watching my videos, I don't have any relationship with Fazio. I use their emails like this. They're a wholesaler, a huge wholesaler, and they have so many deals, it gives me a lot of content to look at. Now, you guys may think, man, he's kind of picking on Fazio, because on this one, I don't like the ARV. I'll just tell you up front. I think I'm going to show you it's actually way lower than what they said. But I am kind of picking out some of their deals to use for educational purposes. That doesn't always mean I'm picking out their best deals. In fact, if they had a smoking deal, I'd probably keep that one for myself, So I just don't want you guys to think I'm picking on Fazio or to draw any conclusions about how they do their business based upon my videos. I think they do a great job, and I quite often find deals that Fazio is offering that I think are within the range of a very good and profitable cash offer. So, and the other thing that you'll notice, I got to get rid of that. The other thing that you'll notice is that they will reduce the prices of things. Here, in fact, I'll just go ahead and show you something real quick. Last time in episode 89, I looked at this house right here. It's in Gatesville, Texas. And I was kind of asking about the question of, is this just too much to take on as a restoration? This isn't just a renovation. It was a full top to bottom restoration. And do you really want to do that? And they were wanting, when I was looking at it, $50K. And my conclusion was $30K. Needed $75 in repairs. Okay. So $50K down to, what did I just say? They're now offering it at $35. So they're within $5 of what my model came to. So the point I wanted to make was that I see this with Fazio. They will, if their house doesn't sell, they're going to try to find the buyer at the right price, on the deal. And so let me just kind of clean things up here. All right, back into the one we're looking at here in beautiful Palatka, Florida. And what we see is they say it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house built in 1961, 1,400 square feet on 1/3 of an acre out there in Palatka. The house looks rough. We can tell right away by looking at it, this house needs a roof. What's the other thing that you see in that photo right there that tells you something? Just look at it for a minute. It's a little hidden by the car there. You see a window unit. And so we're going to, they say HVAC, no known issues. I see window units. I assume it doesn't have central AC, and that's kind of an issue. So Fazio says $230 on the ARV. They're looking for $115. So it appears to be about a 50% of ARV deal. And like I said, on the Big Five, and this is one of the things I love about Fazio is they give us this. If there's something wrong that they're aware of, they say, do your due diligence. If they're not aware of issues, they say no known issues. I really appreciate that. And, I pretty much trust them, at what they're saying. They're telling us the roof is bad, and we can see the roof is bad. I think on the HVAC, this thing probably needs an HVAC. There's a little sneak preview at the pictures inside this beauty. Guys, if you have any interest in the property or finding out of all the things that they have available, not just in Texas or Florida, I think they do Arizona, some other states, reach out to Jade Vaughn there, 214-646-9646. And webuyhouses.com. We do not make a penny if you buy a property from Fazio Real Estate Solutions. We do appreciate them. And so that's our deal for today. I'm going to move kind of quickly on this one. I don't think any of us are going to buy a house in Palatka. I'm going to be real honest. There's just some, some factors on this one just say, nah, this isn't where I want to deploy my limited capital. For one thing, when I looked there on Google, we noticed it's like one of the cheapest places to live in Florida. And while that's nice, I guess for a buyer, it's not necessarily great for us because we can't get the ARV up, there's only so much ARV you can add by fixing the house. You're going to hit that, there's nice houses there for $200,000. And so that's going to be the challenge with this one. Well, let's just jump into it. Guys, the first thing I do, I calculate the ARV, that's the after repaired value. And I can do that by working with my agent and doing a competitive market analysis. But for you guys, I teach you to do it by looking at the public sites. And so first we look at Zillow, and we see their estimate is 187. One of the things I like with Zillow is price history, but I don't see the normal price history chart there. Going over to Realtor, they're saying 173. All right, anything there? 173 came from Quantarium. CoreLogic's at 163 on that property. Yep. And then Redfin coming in a little hot at 190. And one of the things I like on Redfin is this little chart that looks at the zip code. And so we do see it again, it's kind of what we were seeing, and what we learned about Palatka is it's an inexpensive market and it's a buyer's market, which tells me there's plenty of inventory and the prices are not very high, around 200. So for that ARV to work, at the ARV that Fazio gave us at 230, this would have to be one of the nicer houses in all of Palatka. And I'm guessing it's not, but 94% sale to list says that most houses are selling at a little less than they were listed for, and they sell in about 72 days on market, which is not horrible right now. Not great. I mean, during the housing frenzy of 2022, 2021, all that, they were selling in about 10 days. But now we're back to a more average market with like 60 to 72 days. So that's what we learned there. And then I look at my site property radar. I think they had it at 169. Okay, so this is what I do. I come into my model. This is a model that's available to you. Reach out to us. Go to cashoffermasterclass.com. Click on the button. Fill out the form. We'll send you the model. You can also reach out to me by email, and I'll reply with it. But so what we do in the model is we enter in the Zillow, the Redfin, the Realtor, and the property radar number. And I didn't use that. And I get an average and a median. The median helps to smooth out the bumps, but if you see, they both ended up in exactly the same place at 180. And so I come over here, I put in my subject property's address, I put in the square feet, and then I play around to see what makes it 180. And the answer is $129 a square foot on that 1,401 square foot property. And so that's my starting point. I haven't put any repairs in yet. That's step number 2. So we're done with step number 1, which is computing the after repaired value. And the answer is 180. And so you see, when we come back over to the email, this 230, it kind of creates a problem in that it is so, it's too high. And it's kind of would screw up the numbers. Like if I had 230 right here, my model would allow me to spend a lot more, cash offer. And then I would get to the end and I would try to sell the house for 230, and I would find out, no, this house is only going to sell for about maybe 180, 190, even, in great shape. And so I've made a huge mistake. Virtually all my profit would be gone in that moment of realization that it's not, it's 30, $35,000, $50,000 less, whatever you end up getting, that would be surely most of your profit in that deal. So you got to get the ARV right. We have to get it right. I don't bag on these guys for giving us a number that's too high, because I think it's our responsibility to determine the ARV. It's really not theirs. They can give us what they think, but that's kind of also marketing. They're marketing the property, and they're kind of putting the best face on it. And I think the answer is 180. So that was kind of the lesson I wanted to give you today about ARV. Now we're going to just spend a little bit of time looking at this thing real quick. I'm not going to spend a ton, because again, I don't know that Palatka is the place to put my money, but or your money. All right. Whoa, where did my thing go? I'm trying to get the pictures. Yep. Are you coming? Let's see. I was trying to get some pictures. There they are. All right. The interwebs are deciding to cooperate. I'm just going to jump in. We're going to roll through these pretty quick, and then I'll fill in the numbers. Here's the back of that property. This thing was in rough shape, and on the back we see another window unit. This thing doesn't have a working HVAC. I don't know. Well, as we look at it, maybe we can try to catch to see if there are vents, and maybe it's just non-functional. And they've, in the latter years, as the product, the door is torn apart right there. This property is in very rough condition. I'm going to assume the windows are no good. And we get into the house, and it's like, honestly, for such a trashed property on the outside, these people took care. They did their best to keep it clean, and for their family, and so it doesn't look horrible inside. But it's got that cheap tile floor, and I guess those are Florida colors on the walls. But what am I looking for? I'm looking for any kind of foundation cracks around door frames and things like that. Basically, if we bought this property, we would be repainting everything and maybe reflooring. It depends, because this property, if they want 115 and it's only worth 180, we're going to have a tiny rehab budget. In fact, if you look back over here, this model with no repairs says 126, and they want 115. So we got like 11,000 of rehab budget right now looking at this deal. And I think it will require more than that, but you wouldn't be able to replace floors. You would just repaint everything and do whatever you need to do in the kitchen. Boy, look at those old cabinets. Kind of ugly. 1961. I'm guessing that's the original stuff. And, I don't see a dishwasher. So I don't know about that part. There's obviously the range and stove and oven. Okay, moving around. Well, that's interesting. Look at that. Kind of, I don't know what you call that. Tongue and groove or something. It's neat looking. I would keep that and paint it. That'd look neat. They just painted their paneled walls. Paneling was real popular back in the 60s and 70s. You don't see it much anymore. And so people, as it became unpopular, they just started painting them. That might be what you would do in here, honestly. Just repaint, make it clean, put some flooring in. Same thing here. Look at that flooring. It's got like a marble tile. Interesting. You will see in Florida a lot, no carpet, and not even that much. Like they like hard floors, stone, travertine, tile, all that kind of stuff. Man, just bang the keyboard. Did I do anything? Okay, we're good. All right. So yeah, again, I don't see cracks. It just looks old and just looks like it needs to be really, really cleaned up. Here again, paneled walls that have been painted. Not optimum. I think this is the one room that might have some carpet in it. I believe this might be the master. Be very hard to tell if there are cracks and things with the paneling on the wall. It would probably hide some of that. But you can see over the years, I think they put different things, curtain rods up here, and so there's all these holes in the paneling. You could probably fix that. Again, I think you'd have a very limited budget on this thing, and you'd probably have to keep all that paneling. I think the windows on this house, I mean, I just bet they're shot. I can't tell. There's not enough detail in these shots of the windows. So again, yeah, like no holes in the walls or floors, no huge cracks or things like that. It's been recently lived in, which means plumbing and electrical are probably functional. That's one of the things I worry about. I don't know what happened to the door there. I wonder if those are stickers. I don't know. Anyway, yep, that ugly tile floor, but yeah, you may end up keeping it just because the rehab budget is going to be really, really tight on this thing. And need some outlet switch covers, and that floor looks pretty rough. I see some cracks in the tile. Dude, this is a full on top to bottom rehab. I think we saw that room. Here's a bathroom. They painted their tub. Ooh, you see this, and it generally doesn't stay on. It ends up coming off, and they didn't do a great job at it. I think they spray painted it. So I don't know. I've done this in like shower pans before, where it wasn't a whole tub, but and I've also recoated a kitchen sink before with a epoxy product that and it came out looking pretty good. So, you can do stuff like this. I just don't know what they used and if it would last. And at some point somebody put some tile in there, and it's it's all a little rough. That whole little thing needs to go there. That vanity, that's got to go. Easy to replace that. Um, Whenever you see people that have sealant all around the base of their toilet, they just refuse to take the toilet off and replace the ring. And they thought, well, we'll just seal the water in there. That doesn't work. That does not work. And when you see that, they've been dealing with it. And this, unless they recently pulled it off, you got to pull that toilet. If you're going to pull that, well, it's actually a newer Lowe's. I think that's a Lowe's unit with the center button there that has light and heavy. So it's probably a good toilet. It just needs to be yanked off. All that crap needs to be cleaned off. It needs to be resealed. So there's a ring that goes around the sewer pipe that your toilet fits on. That stuff around the bottom does nothing. All right. Again, just rough. No covers on the switch there. That, honestly, you see what I mean? I can tell this house was lived in because the bathtub was made usable, and this doesn't look horrible. And I have a feeling that it works. I have a feeling the plumbing works. Man, the flooring is just horrible. The cosmetic is heavy on this one, my friends. But they have been living in it, so I'm gonna think good things about electrical and plumbing and things like that. And I don't see a bunch of cracks for foundation. Is that another bedroom? I think it is. Another view of the kitchen. We see that just standalone appliance. There's no dishwasher, and yeah, it's kind of an odd kitchen just to have that thing just sitting there by itself like that. I think that is it for this one. Let's wrap it up. Let's wrap it up today. We got a very full cosmetic. What would that give us? 14. You need a lot more than that. I'm going to say 1.5. Give me at least 20. And then I'm going to go 1 on general repairs. That house needs a lot of general repairs. It needs a roof. And I think it needs HVAC. Now, I did not see. I meant to look for vents. I don't think I saw vents. You might, if there's no HVAC, maybe it just needs some window units. I mean, you got to figure out what are you going to do for the air conditioning? It's Florida, so I don't know. Again, if you're trying to keep this budget really, really low, you would try, maybe just put some window units in and call it a day. But if you were trying to bring this house back to being like, say, at a 230 ARV, this thing would need to be just beautiful. Everything just sparkling clean and nice, and really nice redone kitchen would have to be in there. And that's not in my numbers here. I didn't redo the kitchen. If I was there, I'd probably be at a 2 on cosmetic. Remember, the way I use these numbers, that means 150%, 100%, 50%, 100%. So think of the 1 as being 100%, and then you can go more or less off of that. We're just using the expense variables on this screen to calculate off the square footage what the repair costs would be. That's how the model works. So what does it tell us? It tells us what I knew. The ARV is not 230, it's 180. That's way lower. That's $50,000. That is a deal killer. It's a hard thing to say. Rehab budget. That little dude needs a big budget, and that's $43,000 is what I think that house would take to bring it back to complete retail condition, but probably not even, beautiful, like just maybe more like clean, nice, rentable, livable. I think you're looking at 40 G's on that thing. Here's how our calculation works and how we determine what we can pay as real estate investors. We put the ARV and we multiply that by our discount factor, which is 70%. The discount factor is where your profit is, and it also is where you're covering all your other costs, such as the holding costs of doing the renovation. You're going to hold the house for months. You're going to have insurance. You're going to be making probably payments on maybe a construction loan and all kinds of things. So, if you ever watch the videos, Joel and I did one on estimating the cost for repairs. I think that was 80. Go back and watch that because we dig into that quite deeply, this whole discount factor and why you need to be really careful. You start paying 75 or 80%, you're not going to make money off that deal. You need to be at 70 or below. The repairs are 43. So 180 times 70% minus 43 is $83,000 is what we could pay for this house. They're looking for 115. We're $30,000. Is that 30,000? I think it is, if I did the math right. We're $30,000 away, and it's because of that, that mismatch. They think it's worth a lot more than I think it could possibly be worth after we learned what we learned about. This guy says 230K median, but again, you got to bring that house back to really, really nice if you want to. See there, it said 70. Oh no! The area has 72,000. The city has 10,000. That's it. Yeah, little town, middle of nowhere, low home values. You'd have to make this thing a beauty. Like if we went over here to a realtor and we just said Palatka. Let me see if that works. I think that really doesn't work the way I wanted to. I would have to go home, come over here and say, come on. I want to live in Palatka, Florida. Only one Palatka. Here's your competition. 260. Now that is nice. I like that one. 215. Really clean. 175. 4 bed, 2.5 bath, 2,000 square feet. 174. Look at that one. That's your competition for that house. That is your competition. Look at that. Whoops. Hang on. I'm not clicking well today. I'm not an accurate clicker. So that's your competition right there. You want this house. In fact, they got a carport thing. Ugly, but they should have. You don't see the top. From the top, it's ugly. But look at that house. Look at that house. This is what our subject property needs to be. There you go. Look at those nice cabinets. Wow. I'm glad we took a moment to go look at this because this, my friends, is what the other house needs to be. They have a water heater in the bathroom. Interesting. This is a 1,300 square foot 3-2. It's very similar in size to that other house, our subject property, and this house. One thing I would say they probably went overboard on this house is white paint. They went overboard on that. But that was that's our competition. So I feel very good about my 180 ARV on this, and I feel very good about the 43 rehab budget and the about $80,000 cash price for this property. All right, we're going to wrap it up, guys. Thanks for being with me today. I haven't made many videos the last week. I had some health issues, and I'm getting ready to travel internationally. Unfortunately, currently scheduled to go through Dubai in 2 weeks, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. So, but I got a lot going on in March. So if I'm not too consistent on the videos, don't worry, man. We're going to have more. We're coming. We got a lot more content to bring you, and I got a special episode 100 that I'm planning for you in the very near future. Hey, if you want to learn anything about what we do, we sell leads, and I can get my finger cut off right there. We sell leads, we sell territories, and webuyhouses.com. And we also match highly qualified cash buyers to pre-qualified deals that we find in our broker licensed referral desk called Housing Valet. If you have any interest in this stuff, reach out to Mike, 817-435-4446. We solve the problem of finding motivated sellers. That's the raw material of your business. You got to find the motivated sellers. And once you have them, you got to know how to qualify them and then calculate the value of that deal and what your cash offer can be. You always make your money on the purchase. If you don't buy right, it's not going to be a good day for you. All right. Hey guys, if you have a house that you'd like to sell fast for cash, go to webuyhouses.com. We will hook you up with one of the best, most professional, most ethical, most capable real estate investors in your local community. And we don't sell your name to a bunch of people. We hook you up with one professional that we have a relationship with. And that's kind of the We Buy Houses promise. We're never selling your name or compromising your identity or anything like that. We're only trying to help you accomplish what you want to accomplish, which is to sell your house fast for cash in its current condition. And that's what we help thousands of people do every year. We've worked with over 1 million people in the 20 years that we've been doing this, as far as those who've come to visit, and we've done our best to help them out. We bought thousands and thousands of houses. So if it's the right thing for you, we're the right fit as far as the company that can help you accomplish that. Thanks again for your time today. I've enjoyed it. I look forward to spending more time with you. I'm trying to do about 2 videos a week. It's a little hard right now with some things that are going on, but I'll try my best. I like to spend some time with you, and I miss it when I'm not here putting out a new video for you. So I'll see you guys soon. Adios.